Environmental changes causing emergence and re-emergence of new diseases. Dr. Shivu P, Pediatrician, Mysore. Visit www.slideshare.net/Dr. Shivu for articles and YouTube search Dr. Shivu P for videos on environment and health. Recharge soil water. This is my 18th published speech. As I said in my 17th speech, now onwards we will focus on artificial irrigation system which are evolved as the effort of humans to get and distribute water to the needy areas in the form of wells, tube wells, pipelines, canals, dams and reservoirs and so on. Recharge soil water. Still, the environment is going in a wrong path with increase in the population in the form of increase in drought, flood, global warming and climate changes, as there is mismatch between the usage and recharge of soil water. Maintaining 25% soil water and 5% soil organics with population control like one child for a couple can give solution for most of the present problems. Increase in population leads to increase in graduates in one particular segment, and there is more competition for job in that segment, leading to delay in getting the job, less salary as compared to the expenses, causing non-communicable diseases like stress and hypertension. Competition in the environment. The word environment in the English language has its origin in the French word environ. It means surrounded or encircled. Surrounding may be a living or non-living things. It includes physical, chemical, thermal, microbiological and other natural and artificial forces. They constantly interact with each other and adapt themselves to conditions in their environment. Competition in environment. Non-living things also compete to adapt themselves in their own ways. They compete among themselves to reach their target by flow on the surface, escaping from the subsurface, reaching underground and then flowing. They fly by evaporation, so they don't keep quiet unless they are surrounded completely in the escape proof container. So here you can see the subsurface flow becoming surface flow, and this is the surface flow. So-called non-living water molecules run and run downwards by gravity, competing with each other to reach the lowest possible point or to their destiny, thus keeping them active always, participating in the water cycle. So, competition exists in all the molecules. Body is the net balance between the entry and exit of the molecules. The balance between the entry and exit of these molecules into our internal environment of the body from the external environment, which may be organic or inorganic or living or non-living, decides about the health, growth, development, repair, injury or disease at any given point of time. Balance between entry and exit dictates physiology and pathology. If this entry and exit process with optimal quality and quantity from the external environment into the internal environment of the body and vice versa is normal, then we use the term physiological like this. On the other hand, if this process is impaired and causes trouble to the body, then we use the term pathological like this. The exit is more. So, grossly visible molecules that enters our body are the food and water we consume, the air which enters our body through our inspiration, the temperature which touches our body through our skin and mucosa, and so on. Our body gets whatever surrounds us. Grossly visible molecules that comes out of our body are the urine and stools we pass, sweat and moisture comes out from the skin and mucous membrane, the tears, various secretions from different parts of our body containing various organic, inorganic, living and non-living materials decides the body as the body at a given point of time. Since all these molecules in the form of physical, chemical and microbiological comes from and goes out into the environment surrounding us and interacts with our body in the form of metabolism, inflammation, infection, infestation and so on. So the quality and quantity of these molecules or agents decides our health and disease. Population puts pressure on environment. Present progress in population, pollution, pathogens provides a perfect match between agent, host, environment for emergence of new diseases. Since the physical, chemical, thermal and microbiological composition of the environment is changing and there is easy and close by availability of human host for the agent survival, the type, the pattern and the severity of the diseases are also changing with re-emergence and emergence of new diseases. Populations puts pressure on environment. These changes in the environment are occurring rapidly with the rapid increase in the population, with the way the people live causing burden on the natural resources in a very demanding way, not thinking about the consequences emerging out of it. This attitude attributes to the emergence of many diseases with new dimensions, severity, covering wider geographical areas of the world, giving clue to the extinction of sensitive species, maybe including humans. Diseases related to overcrowding. These numbers are increasing. Studies across the decades demonstrate that when individuals live in overcrowded conditions, it is easier for infections such as influenza, meningitis, tuberculosis, measles, and pneumococcal diseases to spread. Infectious diseases like COVID-19, tuberculosis, dengue, and diarrhea thrive in poor and overcrowded environments and are closely related to unhealthy housing and poor sanitations and waste management. Poor urban waste management fuels transmission of diseases such as the Zika and Ebola viruses. Crowding is stressful for children as well as adults and particularly for women, leading to poor social relationships, poor childcare, aggression or withdrawal. Overcrowding may affect mental health, stress level, relationships and sleep. More villages means more need of infrastructure and more burden on environment. These numbers are increasing. Villages in India. 6 lakhs 38,365 villages recorded in 2001 census of India. 6 lakhs 49,481 villages recorded in 2011 census of India. 6 lakh 64,369 villages recorded in 2019 census of India. Children of school age may face longer journey to school whether they walk, take the bus or get a lift. They face more challenges like encountering snakes, fox, dog, wild animals, crossing streams and so on. So they postpone their entry into the school till they are mentally and physically strong enough to face all these challenges, so they lag behind the same age group urban children. Shopping can become an inconvenience. There may be limited job opportunities unless they already have a job nearby or if they commute into a town or city. Television and internet connectivity could be weaker or patchy in more rural areas. During the winter months, nearby roads might not be in the best shape or not be as well maintained. Trade services such as a mechanic are harder to find. Entertainment and ETS may be further away, which involves more time, a higher expense, and extra planning. When it comes to health, needy people may not get needy emergency health services at the needy time, and there will be delay in diagnosis and getting specific treatment for some diseases. Indirectly, it adds the burden on morbidity and mortality. More schools, more hospitals, more electricity lines and stations, lengthy roads, more Gram Panchayat offices on one side, and non-availability of skilled or qualified people to handle the activities in the village on the other side relates to the poor quality in services, and it consumes more land for further population, for lesser population, and affects flora and fauna as the people occupies the land of forest and natural waterways, thus more burden on environment. Caste increases the number of villages and thus the burden on infrastructure and environment. These numbers are increasing. Castes. There are about 3,000 recognized castes in India. These main 3,000 castes were further divided into about 25,000 subcastes, each based on their specific occupation. Social exclusion, caste discrimination, obtrusive inequalities, socio-economic deprivation, and inhuman caste atrocities can be seen. Children in scheduled caste had a higher risk of having anemia. The caste system perpetuates social and economic exclusion, hindering equity and justice, and exacerbating poverty and unemployment and related diseases caused by this. Poverty means more suffering. These numbers are increasing. People living with poverty. Two-thirds of people in India live in poverty. 68.8% of Indian population live on less than $2, that is 150 rupees a day. Over 30% even have less than $1.25, that is 94 rupees per day of income. They are considered extremely poor. Lack of access to this leads to lack of access to proper sanitation, health education and safe drinking water, and poor nutrition and indoor air pollution. Wider spectrum of diseases and conditions causing high, though preventable, morbidity, mortality, worldwide in low income countries. People living with poverty, they can suffer with HIV, AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, parasitic diseases like leishmaniasis, schistosomiasis, filariasis, trypanosomiasis, other tropical diseases like dengue, yellow fever, buruli, ulcer, leptospirosis, and treatable childhood diseases, example polio, measles, pertussis, respiratory infections like pneumonia, diarrheal diseases, nutritional deficiencies, other perinatal and maternal conditions can be associated with poverty. So malnutrition keeps the disease alive. These numbers are increasing. Malnutrition. India is home to 46.6 million stunted children, a third of world's total as per Global Nutrition Report 2018. Protein energy malnutrition like kwashiorkor, marasmus, catabolysis, B1 deficiency causing beriberi, Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, Wernicke's encephalopathy, Korsakoff syndrome, B2 like riboflavin deficiency, B3 like can cause pellagra, B6 pyridoxine deficiency, B7 biotin deficiency, B9 folate deficiency, B12 vitamin B12 deficiency like megaloblastic anemia, vitamin A deficiency, white spots, scurvy, vitamin C deficiency, vitamin D deficiency can cause rickets, osteomalacia, Harrison screw, vitamin E deficiency can occur, vitamin K deficiency can occur, delayed milestones, failure to thrive, short stature, maybe idiopathic, anorexia, weight loss, cachexia, underweight, all this can happen with malnutrition. Nearly half of all under 5 mortality in India is attributable to undernutrition. Rituals delays the initiation of treatment, aids progression of the disease. These numbers are increasing. Number of gods and practices. There are about 33 million gods in Hinduism. So there are various rituals in all along the world, like self-flagellation. It may be associated with human T lymphotropic virus and hepatitis C. Ritualistic consumption of raw molluscs can lead to angiostrongyllosis, continensis related eosinophilic meningitis. Ritualistic animal sacrifice may be associated with Mycobacterium bovis, ORF virus, brucellosis, cutaneous anthrax and Rift Valley fever. Sprinkling of holy water may be associated with bacterial infections at surgical site and pneumonia. Blood brotherhood and other ritual involving blood. Example, group circumcision, skin sacrification, bloodletting and female genital mutilation can be associated with HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, Clostridium tetani, Chlamydia trachomatis, Neisseria gonorrhea, syphilis, Trichomonas vaginalis, herpes simplex virus. Tattooing may be associated with sporotrichosis, blood-borne infections. Widow inheritance and similar rituals may be associated with HIV. Kumbh Mela involving ritualistic bathing and dipping in rivers may be associated with diarrheal diseases including cholera, respiratory infections including COVID-19. Mortuary rituals may be associated with cholera, Ebola and Kuru. Ritual side roles can be associated with cutaneous larva migrans. Circumcision in Jewish infants may be associated with herpes simplex virus. Ablution involving nasal irrigation may be associated with Negliria fowleri, meningoencephalitis. Mass gathering like Hajj may be associated with various infections including meningococcal meningitis, cholera, influenza, viral hepatitis, COVID-19, and so on. Urbanization and its burden on environment. These numbers are increasing. Number of cities and its size. There are 4,000 cities and towns in India. 46 of these cities have a population of over 1 million people, while 11 of them have a population greater than 3 million and are considered megacities. So, this leads to high population density, inadequate infrastructure, lack of affordable housing, flooding, that is urban flooding, pollution, slum creation, crime, congestion, and poverty. Increased mortality from non communicable diseases associated with lifestyle, including cancer and heart diseases. Cities face the triple health burden of infectious diseases like HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, pneumonia, dengue, diarrhea, non communicable diseases like heart diseases, stroke, asthma, cancer, diabetes, depression, violence, injuries including road traffic injuries, increased pollution like air pollution, noise pollution, inadequate waste management leads to lack of access to safe and clean water, leads to increased incidence of waterborne and vector-borne diseases. Traffic congestion and its health effects. These numbers are increasing. The traffic congestion in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Kolkata cost the economy of Rs 1.5 lakh crore annually. This can lead to chronic lung diseases, raised blood pressure, stroke, asthma, increase in noise pollution, driver stress, passenger time pressure, risk of cardiovascular, respiratory, reproductive, endocrine conditions as well as all-cause mortality. Decreased mental satisfaction and a city's economic growth may be impaired. Sewage water contaminating domestic and agriculture water. These numbers are increasing. Volume of sewage water. Untreated sewage is the leading polluter of water sources in India, causing a host of diseases including diarrhea, which kills 350,000 Indian children annually. Sewage water also causes agricultural contamination and environmental degradation. The urban poor often live alongside dirty drains and canals in which mosquitoes and germs breed. These urban poor gets the disease, suffer and transmit the disease to others. Thus make the people of the entire city prone for the disease, which may lead to morbidity or mortality. Diarrhea is the most prevalent type of infection, with cholera the worst form. Typhoid, paratyphoid and other salmonella type diseases are also caused by bacterial pathogens. Numerous viruses may infect a human and are passed in the feces. Migration and health hazards. These numbers are increasing. Migration. The data on migration in India as per census 2001 shows that the total number of migrants has been 314 millions. Out of these migrants, 268 million, 85, that is 85%, have been intrastate migrants. So this can lead to communicable diseases, accidental injuries, hypothermia, burns, unwanted pregnancy, delivery related complications and various non-communicable diseases. System-induced lengthy roads. It is possible to grow what we eat in our own place without long distance transportation. These numbers are increasing. That is, system-induced lengthy roads are increasing. Length of the roads in India, more than 60 lakh kilometers of roads were already created by the year 2018. Now it is more than 70 lakh kilometers. Tiredness. This can lead to tiredness, loss of concentration, driving mistakes like choosing the wrong gear, failing to notice changing traffic conditions, being in the wrong lane for a maneuver, falling asleep at the wheel. Even a few seconds will have consequences. Highway hypnosis can be seen, like also known as white line fever. It is an altered mental state in which an automobile driver can safely drive lengthy distances with no recollection of consciously having done so. Railway tracks and health hazards. These numbers are increasing. Length of the railway tracks. It is 67,415 kilometers of route, 95,981 kilometers of running track, 1,23,542 kilometers of total track as of March 2019. This can lead to noise pollution and vibrations. People living near rail lines and rail yards have lower lifespan, increased asthma, heart and lung disease rate, and the risk of cancer because of the exposure to particulate matter that comes from the train. Number of houses and health hazards. These numbers are increasing. Number of houses. More than 25 crore houses in India in 2018. Per capita space, indoor space, outdoor and indoor environment are all will have the effect on the health of the person who lives inside the house. Moisture in home supports the growth of mites and mold. The infestation of cockroaches, rats and mice, all of which produces allergens that aggravate asthma and other pre-existing chronic respiratory conditions, although it is not clear at what level these contaminants causes allergic sensitization. Number of vehicles is directly proportional to the disease burden. These numbers are increasing. Number of registered vehicle. It was 3,06,000 in 1951 after independence in India. Now it is about 25 crore 33 lakhs 11,000 in 2017 in India. Breathing in polluted air can lead to a variety of health issues such as respiratory problems, heart disease, stroke and cancer. Petroleum products and health hazards. These numbers are increasing. Usage of petroleum products. Consumption volume of petroleum products in India in the year 2018 is more than 200 million metric tons. Think about the cavities which are produced at the places where we remove these products from the lithosphere, which can collapse at any time. Public health concerns related to high air pollution exposure include cancer, cardiovascular disease, respiratory diseases, diabetes mellitus, obesity, reproductive, neurological and immune system disorder. Emission and health hazards. Emission from the transport sector are a major contributor to climate change. About 14% of annual emissions, including non-carbon dioxide gases, and around a quarter of carbon dioxide emissions are from burning fossil fuels. Several principal emissions results from coal combustion, for example sulfur dioxide, which contributes to acid rain and respiratory illnesses. Carbon dioxide, which is the primary greenhouse gas produced from burning fossil fuels like coal, oil and natural gas. Factory emissions contribute greatly to the release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Industry and electricity generating factories contribute slightly more than 50% of the greenhouse gases. So, pollution, which includes air, water, food, light, sound, and land pollution. Global warming and climate changes. These numbers are increasing. According to the World Health Organization, the climate change and global warming are the greatest challenges of humanity in the 21st century. They threaten all aspects of our life. Climate change and global warming are two expressions which are usually used in an interchangeable manner, although global warming is just one aspect of various aspects associated with climate change. The expression global warming usually refers to the observed rise in average global temperature in the last decade in terms of frequency and intensity. It is induced by the greenhouse effect due to the increase in carbon dioxide emission produced by the increasing consumption of fossil fuels worldwide in parallel with cutting trees and forests. The rise in temperature increases towards the poles and less near the equator. It accelerates with time and is expected to be faster in the next years and may range between plus 1.6 and plus 6 degrees centigrade according to the computer simulator scenarios. The global warming related changes in disease epidemiology are associated with changes in ecosystem, population susceptibility, and increased exposure to causative agents. Global warming also affects the geographical distribution of vectors, intermediate host distribution, including invertebrate hosts like insects, rodents, and migratory birds. What happens with global warming and climate change? These numbers are increasing. A complex mixture of various environmental conditions, example temperature and humidity, determines the suitable habitat, ecological niche for every vector host. The availability of suitable vector is a precondition for the emergence of vector-borne pathogens. Climate changes and global warming will have catastrophic effects on humans, animals, environmental ecosystems. Pathogens, especially neglected tropical disease agents, are expected to emerge and re-emerge in several countries. The lives of millions of people, especially in developing countries, will be at risk in direct and indirect ways. Climatic changes are characterized by extreme weather events accompanied by the increase in the prevalence of droughts, heat waves, extreme rainfalls and floods or dryness and water scarcity, dust storms, tropical cyclones including typhoons or hurricanes, wildfires, melting of snow and disappearance of river delta and coastal cities, in addition to environmental changes such as habitat fragmentation, bushmeat consumption, urbanization and deforestation. The negative effects of global warming and climate changes on human health are largely underestimated. It is estimated that 34% of all childhood illnesses and 36% of young children's deaths worldwide are linked to changes in the environmental factors. One of the absolutely underestimated threats of global warming is the melting of ice layer existing since thousands of years. Melting of ice will not only lead to the disappearance of many cities and river delta, but will also reactivate frozen biological materials stored in frozen soil. Melting of ice layer will not only provide us with buried carcasses of animals since thousands of years like mammoths, but unfortunately additional hidden biological materials are also buried under snow. In 2012, variola virus was determined in a 300-year-old frozen mummy in Siberia, while scientists from NASA in 2005 could revive bacteria stored in frozen in Alaska since 32 years. Others could isolate 8 million year old bacteria from ice samples in Antarctica. Viable bacteria could also be isolated from ice samples 25,000 years old and from Dominican amber 20 to 40 million years old. The WHO listed the health hazards on human health due to climate changes into the following items: direct and indirect effects of global warming, stratospheric ozone depletion, disturbance in terrestrial and marine ecosystem, loss of biodiversity, changes in the hydrological system and freshwater supply, land degradation and loss of river deltas and coastal cities, urbanization, deforestation and population dislocation, immigration, and finally limited food production. Emerging infectious diseases could be defined as infectious diseases which increase their prevalence or threaten over time. They include: number 1, new unknown diseases which are first diagnosed, and number 2, old diseases which evolved or mutated from already existing agents and gained new features, that is adaptation to new host or target population, new geographic distribution, new clinical picture, new epidemiological profile, new spread pattern, or resistance to use therapeutics. Endemic diseases may also re-emerge where they are endemic, that is release epidemics, or their prevalence increases clearly. Health threats due to climate change. These numbers are increasing. Meanwhile, the re-emerging diseases could be defined as new infections resulting from unknown or newly introduced pathogens to a new geographic area. The major emerging and re-emerging infectious agents in the last decade includes Ebola virus in Africa, Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus in Middle East, and Zika, chikungunya, yellow fever, and dengue virus from North and South America. The CDC listed at least 50 emerging and re-emerging diseases worldwide. Some common examples of emerging and re-emerging diseases infecting humans, animals, and both were listed. The list includes bovine spongiform encephalopathy, campylobacterosis, Chagas disease, cholera, cryptococcus, cryptosporidiosis, cyclosporiosis, cysticercosis, dengue fever, diphtheria, drug-resistant infections, that is antimicrobial resistance, Ebola, hemorrhagic fever, Escherichia coli infections, group B, streptococcus, hantavirus, pulmonary syndrome, Hendra virus, hepatitis C, histoplasmosis, HIV/AIDS, influenza, Lassa fever, Legionnaires disease, leptospirosis, listeriosis, Lyme disease, malaria, Marburg hemorrhagic fever, measles, monkeypox, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, Nipah virus, norovirus, pertussis, plague, poliomyelitis, rabies, Rift Valley fever, rotavirus, salmonellosis, severe acute respiratory syndrome, shigellosis, sleeping sickness, that is trypanosomiasis, smallpox, tuberculosis, tularemia, valley fever, that is coccidioidomycosis, vancomycin intermediate or vancomycin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, West Nile virus, and yellow fever. These are mainly insect-borne, airborne, waterborne, and foodborne diseases. Sweden reported its first mpox case on Thursday, August 15, 2024, a day after the World Health Organization declared the infection a global public health emergency. With this, Sweden has also become the first country outside the African continent to report the more contagious strains of mpox virus dated Friday, August 16, 2024. Neglected tropical diseases are a group of bacterial, viral, parasitic, and fungal pathogens usually endemic in tropical and subtropical developing countries. As these diseases are usually limited to poor countries, the pharma industry did not invest enough money to solve these problems until they started to expand and represent a real threat to the developed world. According to WHO, 20 crore neglected tropical diseases are candidates to re-emerge in the developed countries due to global warming. They are dengue fever and rabies viral diseases. They are Buruli ulcer, that is Mycobacterium ulcerans infection, trachoma caused by Chlamydia trachomatis as caused by spirochete, trypanosomiasis and leprosy are the bacterial diseases, Chagas diseases, trypanosomiasis, leishmaniasis, dracunculiasis, cysticercosis, echinococcosis, foodborne dermatoidosis, lymphatic filariasis, onchocerciasis, that is the river blindness, schistosomiasis, and soil transmitted helminthiasis, that is ascariasis, hookworm infection, trichuriasis. They are all parasitic diseases. These neglected tropical pathogens may re-emerge again due to the expansion of the vector host, insect rodent-borne diseases, by wind airborne diseases, flood waterborne diseases, migration of humans, domestic or wild populations, even melting of the accumulated snow due to global warming may liberate the sleeping spores, example anthrax. Importation of exotic pets may also play a role in the introduction of new pathogens or parasite to free locations. System failure and illnesses. These numbers are increasing. Police stations. Total police force 20,64,370. Population per policeman 576. Police ratio per lakh of population 173.5. Police ratio per 100 square kilometers of area 65.2. Number of police stations 13,984. Number of police posts 7,742 in 2010 in India. It indicates that people are quarreling more for various reasons. Relations becoming valueless. There is increase in theft. There is more accidents, homicides and suicides. All these are clues for system failure or less accurate recording at government or less time for travel or taking more time for travel or there is no relation between work and income and expenses. All this will lead to psychiatric illnesses, physical trauma, morbidity, mortality, and so on. Time interval in getting justice can induce illness. These numbers are increasing. Courts. There are 59,867 cases pending in the Supreme Court and 44.75 lakh cases in various high courts. At the district and subordinate court levels, the number of pending cases stands at a shocking 3.14 crore, said the Union Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad on 27th of November 2019. There are 25 high courts and 672 district courts in India. Courts are doing their best to get justice. Time and money is needed. The process keeps the mind warm till the truth comes out, even for the good person, which can lead to psychiatric illnesses and hypertension. Chronic poisoning and its health effects. These numbers are increasing. Usage of insecticides and pesticides. As per the recent statistics, the volume of pesticides produced across India from financial year 2015 to 2019 is as follows. In 2015, 186,000 metric tons. In 2016, it is 188,000 metric tons. In 2017, it is 214,000 metric tons. In 2018, it is 213,000 metric tons. In 2019, it is 217,000 metric tons. This means there is the possibility of consuming 160 grams of these poisons per year by every individual or around 400 milligrams of poison per day by every individual through the air we breathe, water we drink, food we consume, which includes the food grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, meat, fish, and so on. It is because poisons mix with the air, water, soil, plant, animals, and so on. Later, we consume these products. Consumption of 160 grams of poison in a day instead of a year will definitely lead to death of an individual. Usage of chemical fertilizers and its hazards on food and health. These numbers are increasing. Usage of chemical fertilizer. In the fiscal year 2019, the nitrogenous fertilizer consumption in India amounted to over 17 million metric tons. The disadvantages of chemical fertilizers are they affect the microorganisms present in the soil. The acidity of the chemical fertilizer adversely affects the soil pH and makes it acidic, thereby changing the kind of microorganisms that can live in the soil. Prolonged use causes an increase in the pests and kills the beneficial microbes present in the soil. They are highly soluble in water, hence they leach away into the groundwater without fully benefiting the plant. Thus, fewer nutrients are available for the plant. The leaching away of chemical fertilizer pollutes the water. They also seep into the subsoil where they interact with the clay, forming impermeable layer called hardnep, causing compaction of the soil. They encourage plant diseases. Fast release chemical fertilizers have high nitrogen content compared to the slow release organic fertilizers. When there is overabundance of nitrogen in relation to the phosphate, then plants are more susceptible to mosaic infections. They do not provide any humus, organic matter to the soil. Too much use of these fertilizers tends to destroy the beneficial microbes present in the soil. The soil gets damaged as their nutrients are also not replenished in the soil. Excess nitrogen used in the crop fertilization can contribute to the release of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide into the atmosphere, responsible for global warming. The food produced in the soil contaminated with chemical fertilizer has less vitamin and mineral contents as the chemical fertilizer on soil depletes the essential nutrients. As these chemical fertilizers are carried by rain into the rivers and groundwater, then into the lakes and sea, leading to increase in the growth of the algae and aquatic plants called eutrophication. This structural change in the water ecosystem causing depletion of fish species and general deterioration of the water quality. This progress is becoming very rapid due to the presence of man and his activities in recent decades. Diseases and treatment modes. These numbers are increasing. Diseases and treatment modes. Diseases, treatment modes, sufferings, patient number, hospitals, cure rate are all increasing. We create situation where the incidence and prevalence of communicable and non-communicable disease to increase. We suffer, we investigate, we identify solutions for the same. We provide guidelines for prevention but not able to prevent it from the grassroots due to various reasons. For example, we know typhoid is transmitted by contaminated water or food, but our system makes us a failure to achieve a clean water and food for all, so the disease thrives. Land utilized in the name of residences. These numbers are increasing. Land utilized in the name of residences. More than 3 lakh square kilometers of land is utilized as constructed area in India in 2018. Thus, the soil in this area have lost their physiology. In India, about 51.09% of the land is under cultivation, 21.81% under forest. We need to note that the number of trees are decreasing. 3.92% under pasture. Build up area and uncultivated land occupies about 12.34% in 2018. If you utilize more land either as concrete structure or as asphalted area, then that land loses its characteristics, makes the water to flow faster, increases the man-made flood or urban flood. Water will not be available for the process of evaporation, subsurface flow, percolation, providing water for the deep-rooted trees. This leads to decreased conversion of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide into carbon mass. Thus, global warming and climate changes can occur. Borewell leads to diseases and environmental hazards. These numbers are increasing. Number and depth of borewells, that is 4 to 6 per hectare, 600 to 1000 feet in depth. They are increasing day by day. Without borewells, many people will not have water to drink, but it is also leads to many health hazards. Microbiological quality of surface water may not be good with increased population and water pollution. The chemical quality of borewell water may not be good due to high mineral and chemical content. But still, humans need some source of water because they are the part and parcel of the environment, and people need to survive. Humans steal water from other animals and plants and quarrel among themselves. These numbers are increasing. Humans without their knowledge are responsible for recurrent floods and drought. Humans became the experts in stealing most of the water which are meant for other animals and plants, like humans stealing water meant for deep rooted trees through borewells. Humans are throwing out the surface water from the land into the sea by altering the physiology of the soil by converting land into concrete structures or box drainages. Humans are occupying the banks of the natural water pathways, thus, there is less width available for the surface water to come in contact with the land, and the surface water flows with increased depth and speed. Humans are emitting more greenhouse gases, creating global warming and increasing the process of surface water evaporation. Humans are converting carbon mass into carbon dioxide by cutting trees. Flood related diseases. These numbers are increasing. Flood and drought. According to statistics, 68% of India's land is prone to drought, 60% to earthquakes, 12% to flood, and 8% to cyclone, making India one of the most disaster prone countries in the world, affecting the overall 85% of the Indian land and more than 50 million population. Effects of flood. Deaths due to drowning, injuries, electrocution, and even snake bites can occur due to floods. Flood causes loss of human life. Extensive flooding damages or destroys property and infrastructure, buildings, transportation routes, utilities, food sources, energy systems, portable water, and waste disposal. Erosion and landslides can occur. Crop destruction and livestock loss can occur. Health risks that results can include crowded emergency living conditions, water contamination by human and animal feces, or loss of access to healthcare resources. Effects of flood. Post-flooding infectious risk can be categorized in various ways, including by the type of body system affected. While rare and unusual infections can occur from exposure due to flooding, the majority of diseases would be gastrointestinal, respiratory, febrile, vector-borne diseases. Viral diseases like hepatitis A virus, hepatitis E virus, norovirus, rotavirus, poliovirus, and many other agents. Bacterial diseases like cholera, typhoid, and shigellosis, Shigella toxin producing E. coli, Campylobacter, leptospirosis, and others. Protozoal diseases like cryptosporidiosis or giardiasis. Vector-borne conditions that may appear include malaria, yellow fever, West Nile disease, dengue, chikungunya, Rift Valley fever, Rose Valley fever, and so on. Viral upper respiratory infections, pertussis, influenza, measles, COVID-19, and tuberculosis can occur. Vibrio wound infection, especially Vibrio vulnificus tissue infections, can be particularly aggressive. Eye infections may occur. People who come into direct contact with flood water, for example by swimming or wading, that is contaminated with the urine of infected animals, are at high risk of being infected. Symptoms includes fever, headache, muscle ache, chills, red eyes, abdominal pain, jaundice, vomiting, diarrhea, and sometimes a rash. Flood related diseases, these numbers are increasing, but the thing is, this effect of flood, there is something called flood parasite. We are not sure that whether it is fictional or a reality. Does it exist anywhere in the world? See, please mention in the comment box. So if somebody has aware of this. The flood parasites can infect and mutate humans into combat forms. They are widely considered to be the greatest threat to the whole existence of life. More accurately, biodiversity in the Milky Way galaxy. The most basic form of flood Evolution is the infectious form, unique in its distinctive spherical shape. The infection form is used to infect organisms or other species, physically adhering to their surface and inserting tentacles, forcibly hacking into the host nervous system, completely changing its psychology to that of the floods, and eventually physiologically mutating it into one of the various parasitic flood forms, um, or whatever the victim may be. The flood infection form might appear at first glance to be little more than a harmless and repulsive creature, but once it gains physical contact with the biological host, it becomes an instantly deadly foe. Small tentacles underneath its body penetrates the skin, tap into the victim's spinal cord, and unleash an attack or the host nervous system via direct contact with the spine, killing the host almost instantly. But in rare cases, the victim is still conscious. Flood infection is a rapid and efficient biological process, as it can take under a minute in certain cases. See, this is whether it's fictional or reality has to be known. There are many literatures available in the net. If somebody knows something, please comment in the comment box. Drought related diseases. These numbers are increasing. Effects of drought. Drought can lead to decreased water quality and quantity, increased incidence of illnesses or disease, increased mortality rates, and adverse mental health outcomes as livelihoods are challenged. During drought conditions, fuels for wildfire such as grasses and trees can dry out and become more flammable. Drought threatens people's livelihood, increases the risk of disease and death, and fuels mass migration. Water scarcity impacts 40% of the world's population, and as many as 700 million people are at risk of being displaced as a result of drought by 2030. Water scarcity, crop failure, famine, and hunger. Drought provides too little water to support food crops. Malnutrition, dehydration, and related diseases can happen. Mass migration, resulting in internal displacement and international refugees and social unrest can happen. Soil erosion and its effects. These numbers are increasing. Soil erosion in India, according to a 2015 report of Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, the estimated amount of soil erosion that occurred in India was 147 million hectares. Intense erosion happens in the arid and semi-arid areas where the vegetation's cover is scarce. So, what are the effects of soil erosion? Desertification, loss of arable land, air pollution, clogging of waterways. Directly, the erosion induced reduction in crop yields is attributable to loss of rooting depth, degradation of soil structure, decrease in plant available water reserves, reduction in organic matter, and nutrient imbalance. Public health concerns related to high air pollution exposure include cancers, cardiovascular diseases, respiratory diseases, diabetes mellitus, obesity, reproductive, neurological, and immune system disorders. Deforestation and desertification. These numbers are increasing. Deforestation and desertification. A third of the Earth's total landmass has become a victim of desertification, threatening the livelihood of a billion population in over 100 countries. Sri A.C. Lakshmana, a retired conservator of forest, IFS, mentioned in his book by name Challenges of a Tropical Forester for Sustainable Development at the beginning of prologue that civilization started with the felling of the first tree and will end with the felling of the last tree. Atmospheric temperature. These numbers are increasing. Atmospheric temperature, that is global warming, is increasing unusually and rapidly. There is increase in Earth's average surface temperature over the past century, primarily due to greenhouse gases released as people burn fossil fuels. The global average surface temperature rose 0.6 to 0.9 degrees Celsius, that is 1.1 to 1.6 degree Fahrenheit between 1906 to 2005, and the rate of temperature increase has nearly doubled. Natural disasters. These numbers are increasing. According to the emergency event database, the total natural disaster reported each year has been steadily increasing in the recent decades, from 78 in 1970 to 348 in 2004. These disasters include drought, tsunamis, hurricanes, typhoons, floods, and have been increasing over the past 25 years. Food wastage increases the need of surface available potable water. Just to grow the food we eat and for domestic purposes, 2000 liters per person per day of water is required. That is 2000 liters of water per person per day multiplied by 1.4 billion population of India multiplied by 365 days becomes 30,000 TMC of water. That is 30,000 TMC of water is the total water requirement for the people of India for their food and daily activities only, which excludes the water requirement of all other animals, all the trees, manufacturing, construction, and so on. With food wastage, the need of surface available potable water increases further. If you do not distribute this volume of water to all the needy lands, or if you do not get adequate water to all the needy lands, then the quality of air, water, food decreases and temperature will rise to cause global warming and climate changes with the emergence of diseases related to the same. India is an import dependent nation. These numbers are increasing. Overall food requirement for India, it is cereal 70 crore kilograms, pulses 14 crore kilograms, oil 7 crore liters, milk 28 crore liters, vegetables 28 crore kilograms, fruits 28 crore kilograms, sugar 7 crore kilograms, salt 0.7 crore kilograms per day is the needed. More than half of this is imported as we do not have the land to grow this and we do not have the needed water to the needy lands at the needy time, even though the flood water is reaching the sea in few weeks' time. This import can stop at any time with increase in the population of the exporting nation, and money and power may not fetch the food. Snatching the food may become prominent in the future. Please observe this point. There is a high probability of people going to become thieves to satisfy their hunger. These numbers may increase in the future. Cost of the condiments and materials, you know this, all of you know how it is rising. The clue for high probability of people snatching food in the near future is the cost of the food as compared to the income. Hungry makes the people to live happily in the jail if the jail provides free food. Those who are not snatchy may go for malnutrition and its related diseases in future if the same income expense mismatch persists or if it increases. Number of trees and per capita trees, these numbers are decreasing. These numbers which are decreasing are as follows. The number of trees is 25 trees per person in India. It is 100 trees per person in China. 1500 trees per person in Brazil. 9000 trees per person in Canada. Lessons taught by the emerging infectious disease to the humans. Extreme or persistent changes in temperature, precipitation, humidity, and air pollution associated with climate change can, for example, expand the size of emerging infectious disease reservoirs, increase host pathogen and cross species host contacts to promote transmission or spillover events, and degrade the overall health of susceptible host population, leading to new emerging infectious disease outbreaks. Several additional pathogens are also considered capable of producing emerging infectious disease outbreaks, including Escherichia coli, hantavirus, dengue virus, West Nile virus, and so on. Whereas malaria, tuberculosis, cholera, and influenza are often considered as re-emerging diseases with the potential to cause new dimensions in disease. Chronology of re-emerging and emerging new diseases. See, let us look. In 2003, there was an outbreak with SARS-CoV, global Chapare virus, Bolivia. In 2004, Angola Marburg virus disease was emerged. In 2005, human T lymphotropic virus 3-4, Cameron chikungunya virus in Africa, Asia, Europe, India, and Pacific Oceans was seen. In 2008, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever in Greece and Lujo virus in South Africa and Zambia were seen. In 2009, in China, severe fever with thrombocytopenia syndrome, and in Japan, heartland virus, Candida auris species. In DRC, Brass Congo virus. Globally, influenza A virus outbreak has happened in 2009. In 2010, there was an outbreak of dengue, especially in Americans. In 2011, in USA, influenza A virus with H3N2 strain, and in Malaysia, Plasmodium and Cynomolgi was seen. In 2012, Megeling paramyxovirus was seen in China, and Middle East respiratory syndrome COVID virus was seen in Middle East. In 2013, in China, avian influenza virus A, that is the strain is H7 and N9 and H10N8 were seen, and Calpodella species Helonglenga HLG. In Uganda, South Sudan, Shogan's virus was seen. In Germany, variegated squirrel borne virus was seen. In 2014, Bornvilla virus in USA was seen. Avian influenza was seen in China. Ebola virus was seen in Guinea, Lithuania, Sierra Leone. In 2015, in South America, Zika virus were identified. In 2016, Nipah virus was identified in Uganda. Yellow fever virus was seen in Brazil. In 2017, in China, rat hepatitis E virus were seen. In 2018, avian influenza virus A H7N4 strain was seen in China. In 2019, a big havoc in health, that is globally, severe acute respiratory syndrome with coronavirus V2 were seen globally. In 2020, guinea worm species were seen more in Vietnam. In 2021, in Japan, Aerovirus; in China, avian influenza virus; in Russia, avian influenza virus strain is different, that is H5N8. In Argentina, Alto Parago virus were seen. In 2022, monkeypox virus were seen globally. Landi Henipah virus was seen in China. Avian influenza virus H3N8 strain was seen in China again. Then in 2023, in Southeast Asia and Africa, diphtheria outbreak was seen. So there are lots of emerging and new emerging diseases are coming from year to years. See, when we look into the chronology of re-emerging and emerging diseases, that is the total infected cases of major emerging infectious diseases worldwide, if we see, in 2003, severe acute respiratory syndrome was seen in almost so many thousand, 10 to the power of 4 people. Dengue in 2004 was seen in 10 to the power of 7. In 2006, cholera was seen more than 10 to the power of 5 of people. In 2009, swine flu was the infection was people, almost 10 to the power of 6 people got this infection. In 2010, almost it's also almost close to 10 to the power of 6 people got measles infection in 2010. Almost 10 to the power of 3.5 people got Middle East respiratory syndrome in 2012. And in 2013, almost 10 to the power of 5 people got Ebola infection. In 2015, almost 10 to the power of 6 people got Zika infection. In 2019, that is 10 to the power of 9, more than that's about 100 crore people, that is 10 to the power of 9 people got COVID-19 infection. And in 2022, almost 10 to the power of 5 people got monkeypox. So that means year by year we are getting so many diseases. Now if we look into the deaths which had happened during that emerging and re-emerging diseases, the deaths are from SARS, there were more than about 10 to the power of 3 people died in the year 2003. From dengue in 2004, about 10 to the power of 4 people died. And in the year 2006, from cholera, more than 10 to the power of 4 people died. and in the year 2009, from swine flu, there were more than 10 to the power of 5 people died. In the year 2010, more than 10 to the power of 5 people died because of measles. In the year 2012, because of Middle East respiratory syndrome disease, more than 10 to the power of 3 people died. In the year 2013, because of Ebola virus infection, more than 10 to the power of 4 people died. Thousands of people died in the year 2015 because of Zika infection. And in the year 2019-2021, because of COVID, more than 10 to the power of 7 people died. And in the year 2022, because of monkeypox, more than 10 to the power of 2 people died. So there are many deaths have happened because of re-emerging and emerging diseases. The thing is, lot of death has happened because of coronavirus. So the peak of deaths, that is more than 1 lakh deaths per week, were happening in January. The peak started in Jan 2020. After that, the more than 1 lakh death per week was happening in January 2021 and in almost April-May 2021, and again it had peaked between April-May in 2022, and there was again a peak of more than nearing 75,000 deaths per week in February-March 2023. So that means there were lots of deaths which had happened because of COVID-19. So what are the solutions for environmental changes and for prevention of emergence of new diseases? So for this we have to prevent global warming and climate changes. So how? Decrease the burden on land by population control method. Convert desert into forest area. Make the trees to grow with more velocity. Implant, nourish, protect, plant and convert it into big trees, that is big carbon mass. Recreate clean air. I'm stressing recreate it, which was there in the first century of life. Now again we have to recreate clean air, potable water, nutritious food and optimal temperature for better living. So these were the steps we need to take. So for that we have to recharge soil water. So in my next speech I will be speaking about environment and adolescent health, and later how artificial waterways, that is the man-made canals created artificially to utilize the available surface water to the maximum over the land, like reticular canal system, can work synergistically with all the present natural and artificial irrigation system in providing water to all the lands dependent on them to make the soil water to reach 25% and above. For this progressive population to make the food articles with better nutrients for better growth, development, repair and immunity, apart from better family economy, better school environment with time and curriculum for the adolescents to understand their physiology and to go for less mistakes in their life, along with converting greenhouse gases to like carbon dioxide into carbon masks like trees for better air, water, food, temperature with prevention of global warming and climate changes. But the planet Earth will not be able to support n number of population. I am requesting the people of this world, the leaders and the scientists who work in this aspect to consider my thoughts on our environment, which I have delivered through my published speeches to save this world intact, and the leaders to do the needful for the same. I am requesting all the leaders of this world to utilize these thoughts to prevent desertification in their respective countries, thus participate in the process of saving this world for us and for our younger generation. If you like this, then you please subscribe my channel and share with your friends, relatives and family members till it reaches all the leaders of this world to take necessary measures so that this world remains as it is for n number of years. Thanks once again. These are my references. The numbers are already mentioned at appropriate places. So there are many references for this. So these are the references. So these are the references I had quoted. Thank you all. So my name is Dr. Shivu P, pediatrician from Mysore. My phone number 7892501891. WhatsApp number is 94484777380. Visit www.slideshare.net by Dr. Shivu for articles and YouTube search Dr. Shivu P for videos on environment and health. Thank you all.